the best approaches to leaving your Squarespace site live during a redesign. So lots of ways you can do this, but I've kind of over the years narrowed it down to what I think are the three best options, starting with probably my favorite. So first, I suggest this option if you or your client's site that you're redesigning or doing more work to is already on 7.1, so you don't need to make a conversion from 7.0. If that's the case, I tend to just build those new pages under not linked. So for example, let's say this is just my sandbox site I do random things in, but let's say this is your live site. You can keep everything live and as is and just build new pages here under not linked. So let's say, this is my new home page. I'm just going to kind of name it that. And I can come in here, build everything I want, and no one can see this because it's under not linked. However, they can get to it using this URL. The chances of someone finding that is like basically zero. I tend to keep it enabled so I can send it to my clients to view without them being logged in. But what you do want to do, I suggest, is going to the SEO tab and hiding from search results so that this doesn't start to like come into SEO and maybe cannibalize your other page or just do anything weird while you're working on it. So I do suggest doing that. You just want to make sure to toggle this back off when you make you make that page live. So build everything that you need. The one downfall I find of this is if you create, so let's say you're in here, creating this page and you decide actually need to change the logo or I want to change the color. We're not using this teal anymore. We changed our colors. Any changes you make to site styles or your header or footer, any of those universal settings will impact these live pages. So this is a good approach if the branding's staying the same and you're just redesigning new pages. After that, when you go and want to decide you're ready to launch these pages, what you would do, so for example, for home, I'm going to look and say, okay, the URL slug on the old one is home, so I need the new one to match that. We can't have two with the same slug, so what I tend to do is do a quick change where I go home, old, something like this. On the new one, change it to home. Oops. Go to set as homepage, confirm. And then from there, let's say if you had this home old, like in the main navigation, just move it to not linked. You can move this up here if you want to. And then if you want to save the old version, a lot of times I just disable it and remove it from SEO. But sometimes I usually keep it under not linked personally, just, I don't know, in case I ever wanted to refer back, but you could also delete it as well. So that is my first option and probably the one I use the most. The second option, and this is a good one if you need to change from 7.0 to 7.1. So if you have a client or yourself, you need to make that switch. When you make that switch, I have a whole guide on that and it's linked in the post, so I won't get into it. But when you make that switch, the pages can be a little funky. So I suggest making the switch, moving all of your pages. I tend to move everything down to not linked. So like nothing is in the navigation. No one can see these pages. You would of course, get rid of maybe this button here. And then what I do is create a new landing page. So you can name this whenever you want, welcome, whatever, even if you wanted to name this home. You would want this to become your new home page. And essentially on this landing page, you can just create, your basic, this page is, under construction, think of something cute, like we'll be right back, with whatever text you think you need to say. Typically, obviously, you can add photos, add a background. I'm just doing this quickly, but this really acts as an email catcher. So I suggest, putting in your newsletter block. I'm just, for the sake of all of this, you can get rid of any of this text and just have the block there. Name it. You would need to connect it to storage, etc. But for the sake of time here, add your newsletter block so people can sign up on your page. So basically just create a quick under construction page. Sometimes on this page, depending, say, you can either hide your navigation. So here under navigation, you can hide show header and show footer. And sometimes I'll do that. And then just add an image block here. Also, excuse my voice, kind of losing it. You can add an image block with your logo above and just kind of manually build this page if you wanted to hide the header, or don't do that and just keep your logo in the header and you can get rid of, any buttons or anything you have up there if you want. And again, you set this as your homepage. So now when people come to the site, they will be directed here and they have nowhere else to go. So that's just read the text, give us your email, we'll be back soon kind of situation. And you can, like the other option, you can disable these pages, hide them from SEO if you want. Last option, and this is really the one that I suggest the least, is starting a completely new site. The real downfall of this is number one, first and foremost, is you are losing every bit of SEO that you had on your old site. So you're starting completely from scratch. Also, your you or your client, whoever owns the site, is going to have to pay for 2 hosting plans. So there's no way, if this is my existing site and I'm starting a new one, there's no way to transfer your hosting plan. So if your client has just paid for a year long of hosting, they're stuck with that. Sometimes Squarespace will do a partial reimbursement, but you're typically stuck with having paid that. So how you would do this is either one, just go into Squarespace, start a complete new site, or you can go to your account and here's my sandbox. You can also duplicate the existing website by clicking here. Just note when you duplicate something, it'll take a few seconds to load, and then you need to refresh the page or for it to show. So if duplication ends and you don't see it, just refresh the page and it will be in the list then. And then you can start from there. And again, your SEO will be from scratch, but that would be the last option. I suggest that if the client's okay with starting with no SEO, and then also really wanting to do a complete and total revamp and rebrand while keeping their old site live. All right, those are the 3 options I have been using. Let me know if you have others, and hope this is helpful.